Hello everybody, welcome to Ark on the Hill. Today we're going to discuss water, one of the most essential things for us to stay alive and for our hygiene and comfort, because nothing's better than a nice hot cup of coffee or hot cocoa or whatever when you're feeling down. So basics we've gone over in another video, but I'll reiterate them here. You should put away about a gallon of water per day per person in your household. 64 fluid ounces of that should be for you to consume, because staying hydrated is super important. Dehydration can lead to cramps, fuzzy thinking, heart palpitations, a lot of ill effects to dehydration. So you should definitely hydrate and keep hydrated. The rest of that you keep for sanitation purposes, cleaning things and whatnot. So having more is never a bad thing. When it comes to water storage for long term, it is recommended. I mean, if you buy gallons of water at, the store, you should be able to put those away in a cool, non-sunlit place and be able to store it for an extended period of time. Important to keep it out of the sun. The sun will cause algae to grow, which then you'll have to filter out. It won't hurt you per se, but it gets slimy, tastes kind of funky. All water has algae in it. Algae only grows in very clean water. So if you get algae, it's not a huge deal. It's just part of nature, because all water has it. It's hard to get out because the particulates, the seedlings for algae is very small, and even filtering it won't take it out. Now, if you're not buying it at the store and you're just using your tap water, if you're living in a city and you're on city or town water, that's already got chlorine in it, but adding a little extra like this to it just to up the killing power of the chlorine isn't a bad idea. Be careful with this stuff. It's very dangerous. It's the same stuff as pool shock, by the way. Very cheap. I got this on Amazon. Wasn't expensive at all. I use this in my current water system at the house here because we have E. coli, because we're by farms and stuff like that. So that gets down into the well water. So we use that to help with that. It is very dangerous though, because this is literally, you add this to water and it's bleach kind of thing, calcium hypochlorite is what bleach is made out of. So be careful. Don't breathe this stuff. Another thing you can do for long-term storage, they have water treatment and storage treatments, I guess. That's saying treatments a lot, but this here will treat up to 330 gallons. That entire bottle. It comes with a little testing kit and whatnot. I think I got this out of a battle box. By the way, battle box is a really cool little thing. If you don't have an idea of what you're looking for, they send out a lot of really good, really useful stuff. I've gotten a bunch of boxes. And I'll probably go back to it again here after we pay for our furniture. So if you're not long-term storage, so say you are out on the trail or whatever and you need to filter water, or you have rain catchment or things like that, because rain catchment's another good one. I hear it at the house. I have a pool that's not being used that I'm going to turn into a pond this year. I've been looking for the right stuff. There's nowhere close, so I've got to travel a little bit to find the right stuff to do a proper pond. That way I have clean, usable water that then I just have to filtrate and maybe treat it depending on what I find, because I've got water testing stuff here at the house too. But if you're on the road, you're on a hike or bugging out, things like this is super handy. This is a Sawyer filter. This comes with a bag. Actually, it came with, I think, 2 bags that you fill with the water. And then you squeeze it through this filter. This will also fit a 2-liter bottle, and a lot of the other that size mouth things. So you can use this to gather water into a bigger container and then squeeze it through into whatever you're going to use for drinking out of. Another one is life straw. I couldn't find my life straw, but I found a similar thing to it. This is called the Rapid Pure. And what this is, it does the same thing as life straw, only it's a little bit more out in the open. This is your filter here, and it slides in. You take the plastic off, of course, and you slide it into here and locks in. And then you put this on here and you drop this part into the water and suck it through the straw. A lot of these filters, you need to rinse them when you're done because they're going to get stuff on the outside of them. This one too, the Sawyer 2, like once you're done drinking it, they recommend that you take either a little bit in your mouth or like a little bit in a syringe that comes with this one. I think it came with this one, and put it in there and just push it through to rinse the detritus out of the back so that it remains usable for longer. There's a lot of them out there. One that I don't have that I've been meaning to grab is called a Grail, and that you fill the lower portion of it and then seat in the filter and mug that you would drink out of and just push it down. And the act of pushing it down filters the water through the filter, and then you can drink right out of the mug. So there's a lot of stuff out there that you can use to filter water. Recommendations for using with filtering water: if you're finding a spot that has like a lot of sticks and twigs and leaves or whatever, you should pre-filter that with a piece of cloth. So you could use like your shirt, you could use pretty much anything that's permeated like that, but it'll hold larger particles back. If you come across a water source that has a lot of silt and sand and things like that in it, you can, if you have the time, of course, like take a pail and set that to the side and let that just coagulate out. That'll settle out over time. Anything that you're not filtering through one of this style or any of the other ones, the way these work is it has like little straws, very tiny little straws that are woven through, that have holes in them that are about 0.5 microns across. So that's going to pull out 99.999 repeating bacteria, viruses, things like that. If you're not using something like this and you still need water, boiling any water source that you have is very important. Any of your little bugs that are in there can mess with your digestive system and give you diarrhea or an upset stomach, or it just gets really bad, and that would compound dehydration. So you want to make sure that you're boiling it, and boiling it means taking it up to a rolling boil for 3 to 5 at minimum. A little bit longer doesn't hurt. That also depends on your elevation, of course, but I don't think I'm going to be talking to anybody at like mile high. The higher your elevation, the longer you need to boil it, because it doesn't get as hot before it starts to boil. 3 to 5 minutes at pretty much any elevation is going to be good, but going a little bit longer isn't bad. When it comes to boiling water, you want to make sure that you're using a stainless steel metal vessel to do that. If you have a pot, of course, great. But if you don't, make sure that you're not using, like I have Yetis, my thermal carafes. You don't want to boil water in those because it'll destroy the cup. Plus, it's going to take forever because you have that insulating vacuum barrier between the two things of metal. So you definitely don't want to use that when you're boiling water. When you're planning out for long-term storage, you need to make sure that when you're putting it away, it's as clean as possible. Like you don't want to take pond water and like put it in your basement. If you have rain catchment that you don't want to filter, that's cool. But you're making sure that you're putting that over. Like you don't want to store that for long term without cleaning it first. because everything that you catch in your rain catchment, it's natural water. So it's going to have living things in it. Anything that you're going to put in your basement for a long time and not leave outside and then have refresh each time it rains, you want to make sure that you're cleaning through with either chemicals or whatever you want to do with that, boiling it. But for rain catchment, which is also a really good idea for everybody, depending on your local laws, because some places, I guess, you can't have rain catchment even if you're using it for a garden because they don't want you drinking it, which you shouldn't, without filtering it or boiling it first. You want to make sure that stays circulating. So if you're going to have a really high rainstorm or whatever, open up your lower valve a little bit, give it a little more room for some of that fresh rain to get in there. There's a lot of different systems out there. A lot of things that you can store that in, from a 55-gallon plastic water drum to, I've got a couple 150-gallon water drums down there that I'm going to set up and attach to my downspouts. I have the pool, but having more is never a bad thing. So especially since we're going to use that for our garden and whatnot. So that'll be super useful. So we're not putting any strain on the well for our agricultural stuff. Yeah, I think that about covers it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it down below. I know I blasted through things, so I can be more clear if you guys need it. But again, putting a couple weeks worth of water away, clean water, 64 fluid ounces for drinking, 64 fluid ounces, so about a gallon a day for each person. And make sure that when you are drinking like groundwater, so things that are on the surface, rain from streams and things like that, make sure that you're filtering it. At bare minimum, Life Straw is really great. I like them. The only problem I have is you're putting it into the source. So if you're trying to drink from a running creek or river or stream or whatever, you've got to put your face down towards it. So that could fall in, and that'd be fun. So being able to scoop it up and filter it, like with this guy here, filling the bag and then filtering it into your container so that you can store it or drink it, is always a good idea. Yeah, I hope that's helpful, and I hope you all have a good day.